Across the country, there are communities that have implemented pilot programs guaranteeing an income for select participants in the program. You can see these places highlighted on the map.
In North Carolina, Durham is in the process of evaluating its experiment that gave $500 a month to 115 recently released inmates. And now Mecklenburg County has launched a similar program. Our Mary Calkins is live this morning. Mary, there are some differences in these programs.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Mary. So the program that you mentioned in Durham, there the money had no stipulations, meaning participants could spend it however they wished. Well, that's not the case here in Mecklenburg County. There are 5 specific categories in which this money can be used, and I'm going to walk you through that in just a moment. But first, I want to explain how all of this will work. Now, the county announced the supplemental income pilot program yesterday. 60 formerly incarcerated people will be chosen to get $600 a month for 1 year. Now, there's also a control group, another 60 again who have served time in jail, but they're not getting the money. Both groups will be tracked via group meetings and check-ins. Officials will then look at how effective the investment was and decide whether to continue the program. Now back to how they can use that money. Again, there are 5 categories. That's child care, health, drug abuse treatment, education, and general welfare, which includes housing and utilities. Now, the Criminal Justice Services Department is overseeing this pilot program. And again, the hope here is that this money will help those who have recently gotten out of jail to overcome some of the barriers to success. So, of course, we're going to continue keeping tabs on this. But for now, reporting live in Charlotte, Mary Calkins, WBTV, on your side.